term. We appreciate you coming out here. He's a lifelong resident of Beech Grove, the former chief of the fire department, so he's used to hot topics. So he's going to come and give us the state of the city, and we really appreciate you coming out here. We're just going to listen to what he has to say in the manner of time. We're not going to be taking questions. After Mayor Buckley is finished, we will convene. So thank you again, everybody. And without ado, Amanda, thank you. Yep, absolutely. Thank you guys for playing along. We will have fabulous games again. We will be going forward, having our lunches in person, and we are planning on some more events coming forward. So we are going to plan for the year, and then we're going to keep on pushing forward. So with that, Amanda.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. It's good to have a live meeting instead of a phone conference or a Zoom meeting. I'm sick of Zoom. But anyway, I want to report to you on the state of the city, and this is my 10th one. I can't believe it. I'll do 2 more, and then my tenure as your mayor will be done. But I just want to read part of it to you. If I told you that 2020 was a bad year, that would be an understatement. I can't remember any time, as long as I have lived in Beech Grove, that has had an effect on our city as COVID has. Our city basically changed overnight. We modified services, closed buildings to the public, disinfected vehicles, and held several virtual meetings, and yet none of our employees lost their job, or no employee lost a paycheck. In 2020, we continued to receive funding from NDOT on several fronts. The Community Crossings Grant, we received $175,000. We also received a grant notice of an award from Okra for upgrades to our sanitary sewer system in the amount of $660,000. We received approximately $1.3 million in funding from NDOT to construct a roundabout at Arlington and Churchman. And the good news continues, as we received approximately $2.6 million in funding from NDOT to construct a greenway, which is under construction as we speak. In 2020, work continued on making substantial infrastructure improvements throughout our city. Road assessment management plan was done, and all of our roads were once again inventoried. Every 2 years, NDOT requires, if you want to participate in the Community Crossings Grant Program, you have to inventory all of your roads and grade them. And then you compile a list, and the worst roads are the ones that you focus on for paving. That's in place, and it's all on the website. Jim's put it on the website. We continue to improve sidewalks, curbs, and driveway approaches. Maintenance continued on our sanitary sewer system, and drainage improvements continued to be made throughout the city. We just completed another drainage program, our project over on Garstang, and I drove over there this morning on my way here. That has been a problem for a long time, and now it's been taken care of. In 2020, our entire telephone system was updated, which allows employees to work from home. Our complete computer system, including servers, were also replaced, which allows employees to work from home. In 2020, we continued to upgrade personal protection equipment for all employees, and we also purchased automatic CPR devices which allow hands-free CPR to be done. The CARES Act funding through FEMA gave us $211,000. That's a reimbursement program, and we Also got reimbursement for materials and protection devices that we use up to when the funding was released. Some people question, why did you take that money and replace a phone system and computer systems in all of your departments other than police, fire, and city court? First of all, both systems were antiquated. They didn't work very good. Plus, and what people don't understand is this is one of the changes as a result of COVID. Now, you are encouraged to work from home. FEMA nationwide has sent out these funds, and they are encouraging non-essential, every employee is essential, but non-essential employees to work from home when you can. You can't do it if you're a police officer or a firefighter or a paramedic or if you pick up trash, but you can in other civilian jobs. So a lot of times this year when we had to close, some of the employees could work from home. And so that's one of there wasn't very many good things that happened last year, but that was one of them. And I'll get into that in a little bit. In 2020, our budget preparation was very good. And our Common Council approved the budget that we're working off this year at $13,254,000. I give a lot of credit to our department heads and to Jim, our clerk treasurer. This was his first budget and he did a very good job. This budget, department heads were allowed to have interaction with the clerk, and it went very well. And the budget was approved, all but one counselor voted yes. So I was very happy about that. Our DPW, as a result of that budget, has recently ordered a new payloader, and it is now in, and they are getting ready to purchase a new bucket lift truck. Our police department, our chief's here today, Mike Maurice, and his staff. We were one of the first police departments to have in-car cameras a long time ago. I don't really talk about it very much because that's not the way that I like to do. I would rather just do it. I don't need the media attention. But we're also, not only do we have the in-car cameras, but we also are now moving over to body cameras, and which will have their own server system. And once again, we've talked about it, and I'm not really interested in any fanfare. I'm more interested in doing good work, and so I'm looking forward to that, and I think that helps our police officers. Our fire department ordered a new ambulance and is online to order a second one the first quarter of 2022. This is, I'm really happy about this. When I became mayor in 2012, the city had a lot of problems, and one of the problems the city had is we were in debt way over our head. Both the Civil City, the Redevelopment Commission, and the Beech Grove Sewage Works Utility. But we have worked our way out of that debt. Our former clerk, Treasurer Dan McMillan, he did a good job with reassigning this debt and working it out. And Jim's picked up on that. Jim has done some good work. And within the next 2 years, the city's debt will be eliminated. Both the Civil City and the Redevelopment Commission, and our redevelopment attorney is here today, Bob Runn. We've been paying that debt off for a long time. And now we can see the end of the tunnel, and I think they have 3 more payments, and then that will be done as well. our sanitary sewer utility, they have 2 loans in that utility. They'll be paid off by 2025. So from a financial standpoint, the city is doing very well with its debt service. I can remember back when I became mayor in 2012, we had an assessed valuation of a little bit over $325 million, which was not very good. It had dropped, the last year of Mayor Wiley's term, it was $504 million, and it dropped to $325 million when I became mayor. This year, in 2021, the Marion County Assessor's Office has certified or assessed valuation at $517 million. That is almost a $200 million increase from the time that I became mayor. I'm very happy about that, and I talked to Don before lunch. I can remember back when I first started, I remember counting 83 homes in our city that were boarded up. They had been walked away from, and you couldn't sell a house if you wanted to. Now it's the opposite. I'm not too sure you can put a house on the market before it's sold. So I'm very happy about that. I'm very happy for people who do business in the city, and I'm very happy for the people who own property in the city, because your investment has gone up. Another good thing that occurred at the beginning of this year, and it was the same last year, and Jim's done a nice job with this as well. We have 3 or 4 accounts that we work out of, but we started the year in our corporate account of approximately $5.2 million. So that's really good for us. That will spend down, but every month we continue to get payments on the public safety tax, MVH, LRNS. So those things are holding as they were pre-COVID, and now the tax that we received is good from Marion County and the state, and we have not had to borrow money to run government. That has gone on for, Dan started that, Jim continues that. We haven't done that for 3 or 4 years, and that is a really, really good thing. I'm very happy about that. And there's 4 townships in Beech Grove. All 4 townships, tax rate has lowered for 2021. Same applies to the school district. And this marks the 6th time in 9 fiscal years that I've served as mayor that our tax rate has lowered. Our taxes are way too high. But that has gone back for a long, has gone back 25, 30 years. But I'm very happy about that. I think that bodes well for our city. But the nuts and bolts of last year lies in our individual departments. Last year was very challenging for the city, and we had to make some decisions because we did not want to close our government. The best thing that we could do as a governmental unit is to continue to provide the services that we have. We can't do all of these things that a big city does, but we can do these few things, and we have to be good at what we do. So we weren't going to blink or or back away from the challenge in front of us. Anyway, I want to recognize some of our departments. First one I want to recognize is our Senior Citizen Center. And our director's back there. I don't know if you know Stephanie or not. Stephanie, wave your hand. The Senior Center is no different than any other branch of government. It had to change the way it operated due to COVID. And our seniors were the most vulnerable population that we have. They were most at risk. But anyway, under the direction of Stephanie, she had to adjust and change course a little bit due to COVID. Membership allowed in the building was limited, and extreme sanitation took place throughout the year, as this was our most at-risk group. I was very pleased with the outreach programs provided, which included home delivery of food, food preparation, continued transportation to doctors' offices and stores, and transportation to the South Campus for vaccinations. So they had to change course. Some of these things they don't generally do, but because of the coronavirus, they changed course, and they did a really good job. I was most pleased with the food. They actually cooked food for people. Didn't have to be a member of the center. They didn't care. But COVID locked everybody down for a period of time, and some people had food insecurity. So that's what we should be doing. So our Hornet Park Community Center, under the direction of Angel, right here. Angel, wave your hand for those who may not know you, had to adjust as well due to COVID. There was a period of time that the center was closed as a precaution. I have always thought that the work Angel and her staff did concerning providing hot meals and stocking up the food pantry was good, and some of people in our area needed this. COVID has caused many problems for our citizens, and food insecurity is one of them. So she runs a food pantry out of this building. I don't know if you folks know that, but it's a wonderful ministry. And then on Wednesdays, they haven't started back up on the hot meals yet, have they? Up until COVID, they had hot meals here every Wednesday. No questions asked. If you're hungry, come in and get something to eat. But those are the things. And then I want to pick up here. For an extended period of time, exercise area and classes were put on hold to prevent COVID exposures, and the banquet rooms were not rented. The work done to accommodate students while school was closed was very good. This was trying, but the staff worked through it, and it turned out well. So Angel was one of those department heads, like the rest of them, who had to change course because this was an unusual year. And the best thing that we can do is get back to what we normally do. Throughout the year, the Department of Public Works, and I seen Brad walk through here a minute ago. There he's back here in the back. Brad, raise your hand. Under the leadership of Brad Merriweather, performed very well. It didn't matter whether it was plowing snow, picking up trash, road projects, writing grant applications. The result was excellent. Brad was a little bit ago, the NDOT, everything I mentioned about NDOT, he did the grant application process, so it was excellent. I'm not sure any department had as much exposure to COVID as the employees out at DPW. I got so frustrated with the governor's office because we would have Zoom stuff, and and I told them that early on that, you know, when can a police officer or when can a fireman get vaccinated, and when can a guy who handles trash every day get a vaccination? I don't think people will realize how much COVID is in trash and how much COVID is in sanitary sewer. And we have employees working in that every day. So they had a tremendous exposure to COVID. And to this day, the state has never, they've come out with police and fire, but they've never come out with guys who work at DPW, who handle the trash and work in the sanitary sewers every single day. They missed it. Trash pickup and recycling picked up. They never wavered. They picked up potholes or filled potholes. Heavy trash was picked up. Sewer calls were responded to and mitigated. Both sanitary and storm improvements, water improvements, continued to be made through 2020. So, in 2020, we once again had to adjust our sewer and trash charges that we assessed to customers of Beech Grove Sewage Works Utility. Nobody likes to do this, but we have one of two choices as a city. Either increase the fees to remain solvent, or hold the line on fees and the city goes into financial difficulty. I gotta tell everyone that the cost of treating wastewater continues to rise, and within the next 2 years, we will ask our ratepayers to pay approximately $1 million more in fees than they did back in 2018. This was my basis for my recommendation to sell the utility, which was turned down. In 2020 was Jim Kaufman's first year as our clerk treasurer. Jim's right over there. It generally takes a new clerk treasurer one term to get acclimated to the financial operations of the city and how the sewage work utility functions. Jim caught on fast. He had to because of COVID. We closed City Hall to the public back in March of 2020, and as of this writing, we are still closed to the public. Jim has done a very good job with the finances. One of the reasons we survived 2020 and COVID was because we were financially solvent. I appreciate the efforts of Jim and our former clerk for the steps they took, which resulted in this. As I mentioned earlier, we received funding through the CARES Act, and Jim was responsible for submitting claims and overseeing this program as well. This is how unfair it is. It's based on population. The city of Beech Grove received $211,000. The city of Indianapolis received, I think, $38 million. So, but anyway, we've made some tremendous upgrades as a result of this, and Jim done a nice job with the CARES Act funding. In 2020, our park system, under the direction of Tom Hand, and Tom's back here on the right. Tom, raise your hand. Was affected as well by COVID. Several programs and shelter rentals were canceled, and the Little League played a very brief schedule. Our annual fireworks display was canceled as we could not conduct any type of social distancing and have a crowd of over 10,000. The event would have become a super spreader. Work began on the Franciscan Trail in late fall and is expected to continue through 2021. The dog park and the basketball courts remained open throughout the year. I want to introduce Tara. Tara Wolf is, Tara, raise your hand. Tara is the president of our Parks Board. And her and Andrew's home sits right on the trail. So right behind the funeral home, Kay. So you can connect the dots, but it's going to be a wonderful improvement. In 2020, our fire department, under the leadership of Chief Robert Cheshire, continued to meet the challenges of providing both firefighting and emergency medical services. It was not easy with COVID. Imagine this, you're on the ambulance and you get called to a house and you go into the house and the patient that called for help has all of the symptoms for COVID. All right, so here they are. You know, they've taken the precautions, but they can't. There was a time, and we all remember this, there was a time when the ERs, they wouldn't take anybody. So they would call a hospital, they would call another hospital, they would call another hospital to see if they would take this patient. No, 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 we're full, we can't, don't bring them. Then they work through that. And during the peak of this pandemic, in the Beech Grove area, our ambulance was transporting an average 4 to 5 patients a day who had COVID. So you can imagine the mental and physical wear and tear it took on these men and women who transported these people. But they worked through it. Several of our firefighters had COVID as a result of exposure, but everybody's fine. Through all of this, our fire engines responded to over 4,600 calls and reported 120 structure fires. Our ambulance division responded to over 4,600 calls. Both of these numbers are consistent with over the past 3 years. And then our part-time fire inspector conducted over 200 fire inspections. One of the good things that came out of last year is we only had approximately $712,000 in fire loss. That's very, very low. Very low. 2020 brought new investments and employees into the mix. The big ticket items were the purchase and installation of 2 gear extractors. A fireman puts their gear on, and then they go and they have an exposure. They have to come back and they have to take that gear off, put it in a gear extractor and wash it. And put another set of gear on. Most firefighters have 2 to 3 sets of gear. And firemen have a history of either heart disease or cancer. And just think about this for a minute. When I was on the fire truck, I would go on a fire and have my turnout gear on. And then when the fire was out or whatever we had was mitigated, we would come back to the station. I would take my gear off and I would hang it on the door of the fire engine. It didn't matter what was on it. And then here we go again. So I put that same gear on, go out the door, and we have a fire or whatever, and you get stuff all over you. Come back to the station. Nobody ever thought of washing the gear. Nobody ever thought of having second gear or third gear. So there was a period, they don't do that anymore, but there was a period, that's why there's such a history of heart disease and cancer in the fire service, because of the constant exposure to whatever you were exposed to. But anyway, in 2020, we didn't lose any firefighters or ambulance position as a result of COVID or budget cuts. Throughout the year, one of our stations may close from time to time, but that was a direct result of COVID exposure. In 2020, our compliance division worked quite a bit from home. Our inspectors conducted over 740 inspections. And beginning in 2021, the compliance division moved from DPW over to the police department, which the policemen, it's a blessing to them. So it's an inside joke, but it makes sense. But anyway, our chief is here, our police chief here, and his assistants, Tom Hurley and Bob Merker. So, and you know as well as anybody, the police are under the gun. And they don't get very much credit for doing anything right, but they do a lot right. I've always been a staunch supporter of our police, and I always will be. And I want them to show up at my house if something's wrong. So they've made quite a bit of changes in the police department last year. Utilized a program called LexiPro and they are rewriting a lot of their policies, and which is really, really, really good. Our police department had the opportunity to hire 3 additional officers and now have assigned 3 police officers to different buildings in the Beech Grove School District. I wish we had the funding to put a police officer in every school building. Earlier last year, there was a referendum. Part of the referendum was to add police officers. And there was overwhelming support for that from the public. And I was one of those people who supported it. There were several reasons why I supported that referendum, but that was the main reason. Yes, I think it's important. So I'm glad to see it, and they've done a nice job of getting things through there. The COVID virus also played a significant role in the operation of our police department. Detectives and other office staff worked quite a bit from home, and police officers still made traffic stops, but approached vehicles attempting to distance themselves. And I have always considered our city to be safe, and the 2020 statistics confirm this. In 2020, our police department responded to over 24,000 runs. This reflects an increase of 11%, even with COVID restrictions. Our police officers arrested 588 people last year and responded to 311 traffic accidents, which resulted in 1 fatality. In 2020, we interacted in 93 drug cases, and 1 police officer was assigned to the Metro Drug Task Force. This has paid huge dividends to our city. In 2020, our police officers responded to over 2,300 calls for help in apartment complexes, 440 responses to motels, and our animal control officer responded to 297 complaints concerning animals. Crime is always front and center for every city, and these statistics are monitored all the time for trends. With all of the civil unrest that occurred in 2020, we were fortunate not to have issues. The city had 1 peaceful protest, of which I took part in. But other than that, I'm proud to proclaim that we are a welcoming, inclusive city where all are welcome. Back when I first started being mayor, I told people, I said, listen, I don't know what happened here before I was mayor, and I don't know what's gonna happen after I'm no longer the mayor, but I can tell you what's gonna happen while I'm the mayor, and that is, wherever you are in your life's journey, you are welcome here. All means all, and that hasn't changed for me. I mean, I still hold that truth, and so I find if you treat everybody equal, you have minimal problems. So anyway, this is important right here for all of us. In 2020, our city experienced 1 targeted homicide. We all know what's going on in Marion County, in the city of Indianapolis. Quite frankly, it's scary. And these guys watch it every single day. How they've kept this out of our city is incredible. On the outskirts of this city, every day there's crime. 3 assaults in 1 year. 15 robberies, 7 rapes, 4 have been closed. Our residents experienced 60 stolen vehicles, 52 burglaries, and 58 acts of vandalism in 2020. In 2020, crime is separated into three parts. Part 1, which is the most serious, Part 2, and Part 3. The crime rate in the city of Beech Grove decreased by 7.3%. With all of the things that go on every single day. That is an incredible accomplishment. And we all know that crime can happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time. In 2020, our economic development situation was surprisingly stable. Last year, during the COVID outbreak, we had several new businesses come to our city and didn't lose any large business in our industrial park. Nor did we have a large loss of jobs. The new roundabout may have helped, but working with larger businesses, zoning boards, developed Indy, and the Indy Chamber, we will eventually pay dividends down the road. Businesses changing their hours due to COVID really hurt our city and small businesses. As of this writing, I have not issued one order to close a local business, and I won't. I have taken the position that business closures should be left up to the local business owner. The same applies to school buildings. The school buildings, the mayor should not, in my opinion, close a school building. That should be left up to the superintendent and the school board. Governor Holcomb, Mayor Hogsett, Governor Hogsett issues an order. I can't issue an order that is less than what he orders. It has to be greater. Mayor Hogsett is, whoever the mayor of Indianapolis is the executive of the entire county. So when he issues an order, I can't issue any order less than what he's put out. I can issue an order that's greater. So that's why I'm not willing to do this. My position has, and I have spent so much time with small local business owners over the past year just to give them a pep talk, because we had business owners that it was day by day with these people, whether they were going to close or not. We talked about this yesterday. It was terrible to sit down and talk with these people, but I did, and the PPP loan from the federal government saved them, or we would have lost 25% of our businesses in this city last year. But we didn't lose any, to my knowledge, and we've gained a few, so I'm very happy about that. So what lies ahead for us in 21? First and foremost is the safety of our citizens, guests, and employees. We have to continue to invest in our services and continue to provide good services that we have. There's nobody that around that provides better services than what these department heads provide to all of you. I live here. I get the same services that everybody else does. And when you move out of Beech Grove, you get it, especially with trash pickup and snow removal. We have to continue to invest in our services and continue to provide good services that we have. We must continue to improve our infrastructure by paving roads and addressing drainage issues and correcting issues with our sanitary sewer system. In 2021, we are going to have to invest in a new fire engine, more police cars, and an ambulance. The construction of a new police station is paramount concerning the future of our city. And I have made this comment publicly many times, and I'll say it again today. That is the highest priority that I have in this term, is to provide a new police station for these men and women. And if you go over there and look at it, what they're working out of now, it will take you about 2 minutes to figure it out. So the chief led a committee, they put out an RFQ, they've got the results back, and now they're going to decide who they want to work with. So I'm excited about it. I stayed out of it because I'm not really sure what a police station should look like. They do. As we move into summer and fall, it is my intent to have fireworks on July 3rd, along with the Fall Festival and Car Show in September and the Oktoberfest in October. It is very important to me that we get back to some normalcy, as we all desire to go back to pre-COVID life. But until then, I ask you to wear a mask when in public, conduct social distancing when in a crowd, and stay home if you are sick. Those are the same general principles when this first started a year ago today. And get a vaccine should you desire to. So that's it, folks. Thank you very much.